Hey guys, welcome back and thank you for watching. I'm not here today to talk about this awesome new 60-inch mower deck I've got. Instead, I'm here to talk about Xfinity and FedEx. So I'm going to give you a little information about what I experienced over the past 6 months dealing with trying to do an online phone upgrade. Not so much for the purpose of uh, ranting about the situation, but hopefully to help someone else in this situation who's either unfortunately already in the situation where they've had a phone damaged or stolen, or they're thinking of ordering online, but they're hesitant to do so. And maybe this video will help keep you from getting into the situation in the first place. So let's get started. Okay, so first up, I'm going to tell you what happened as far as the lost or damaged phones. I'm going to tell you what Xfinity does when this happens. Talk a little bit about the online support, and then how they sort of fixed the account side of the issue. So here's kind of a general timeline. Basically, I ordered the phones. It was two S24s, January 25th, and the full resolution in the account really wasn't worked out until July 23rd. So that's a very long time. Even though on February 19th, they supposedly credited the cost of these phones, these new phones that were lost or damaged, to my account. It just took them from then and then monthly calls until July 23rd until they finally reconciled my account. I'll show you what that looks like in a moment. So if you don't want to kind of see this, what happened here are the lessons learned. So never buy a phone online, especially if you've got some kind of device credit payment plan thing set up with your carrier, because your new phone is tied to your old phone, and the payments are in place, and it's just a mess, right? And the phone has your IMEI number tied to it, so they just, at least Xfinity Mobile does not seem to have a great mechanism for dealing with that. I also am going to say avoid FedEx. I mean, this is not in any way related to Xfinity, but they are just a complete disaster, in my opinion. We have nothing but problems with their deliveries. They're all over the local community message boards, just about, deliveries in odd places, deliveries, meaning like throwing stuff alongside the mailbox or out at the end of long driveways, wrong addresses, lost, damaged, stolen packages, just a complete mess. My opinion, go to the store. If you're an hour away from the store, totally worth the cost. And then last is, you cannot wait for them to resolve. You got to be on them, because an issue like this takes multiple levels of escalation. So here's what happened. So I ordered them, like I said, on the 25th. So on the 27th, it said out for delivery, but then later that day switched to pending. So then on the 28th, and if I remember correctly, it was either, that was like a NFL playoff day. It was like right after the game ended that day, they posted this delivery exception note, and that was a Sunday, and said damaged package, please, handling per shipper's instructions, contact the shipper. So I was like, okay, well, that's great. So this is not unusual for Sparrows Point. Sparrows Point seems to be the problem child of FedEx in this area. So that, in my mind at that point, it's like, oh, well, the packages were damaged, so they'll just replace them and everything will be fine. Well, that was not the case, because as you can see, here is my call log. I called them, and it's how much time I spent on the phone with them trying to explain all of this to them. Agents, of course, every time ask me to repeat the scenario. They seem to be unable to track two cases, since these were two phones, two separate orders, not two phones on the same order. So they had to just append a note to the first case, noting that there are two phones with the exact same damaged problem, which I think we all know damaged means very likely stolen somewhere in the FedEx chain of delivery. And then multiple times for them asking me for a police report, which obviously is understandable in the situation where the package was delivered and you never found it or got it. But in my case, even per the FedEx tracking, they never delivered it. It's delivery exception. So at this point, the issue is not between me and FedEx. It's between FedEx and Xfinity. That's a business transaction between them that they need to work out. There's no police report for me to file. So that was ridiculous. And then at one point, an Xfinity agent told me to dial 911 to report this. So they were just completely no help. And I also called FedEx and opened the case and heard nothing from that. So if you don't want to get through this, don't order online. But this is kind of the process I had to get through. And I stopped logging my calls in March. It just got ridiculous at that point. Okay, so here's kind of what happened. They had these credits that they applied, and in my mind, that should have just showed the S24s as paid off and done with it, right? Um, and that would have been no issue. It would have been no different than if I'd have written them a check. But instead, the credits just sort of sat there, I guess, not applied to the phones for months and months and months. And then at one point, my account was showing overdue. And then they applied a credit. You see their own note here, poor CX, I guess, customer service, employee misinformation error, right? So, and there's other logs of credits on my account trying to get this fixed. Some of them weren't actual financial credits. They just sort of fixed issues. And then the initial money I paid for the phones, because you have to pay the tax in the first payment when you order the phone, they never did refund that money to me. I had to dispute that through my credit card to get that $121 back. So just a complete mess. So then how does this look on the devices tab, like when you're doing, logging into your account? So initially, for whatever reason, my S10es changed from paid in full to one payment remaining. They had been paid in full like years prior. So that was weird. And then the S24s remained as 23 payments remaining from February all the way to July 23rd, in spite of those large credits I just showed you on the prior slide. So at some point, though, in the March timeframe, the S10es did finally show paid in full, but the S24s were still on there with 23 payments remaining. So my worry was if I go and upgrade my S10e, that the S24s would still be hanging out there on the account, and then let's say I canceled or something, they would still think 23 payments were remaining. So I did not want to do anything else to my account until I got this resolved. So how did they resolve it? Well, eventually it went from what you saw on the prior screen to the S10es completely disappeared, and it showed two S24s. So these S24s then showed as eligible for upgrade. Keep in mind, these were the S24s that were, quote, damaged. I would call them stolen. But per the official tracking, they were damaged somewhere in the FedEx delivery chain. So that's kind of how it ended up getting resolved, but it took until July 23rd. And then once I went out and got my two new S24s, the actual S24s here on the right that I received in hand from the store, this is kind of what it looked like. And of course, 23 payments remaining, because in the store I paid, the first payment plus the tax. And then it shows that they will be eligible for upgrade early. So that's how it got resolved for me. I would definitely not recommend anyone going through the online process of ordering a phone, because if you do, Xfinity doesn't really know how to handle it. They do seem to be equipped to do something when a police report is, I guess, a porch pirate situation. They seem to understand that, but they don't seem to understand the, stolen/damaged at FedEx problem. So anyway, I'm not going to drone on here and complain anymore. I just wanted to try to give some information on how this works when this debacle happens. So if you have any questions, or if you're in this situation and you're not sure what to do, I can't give you much advice other than to tell you what I went through, but there are a couple details I have skipped here just for keeping it brief. But shoot me a comment down below, and I'll answer any questions I am able to. So as always, thank you for watching.